Sarah Perreault is on the line with us. It is here. It's here. I feel like Steve Martin in that movie, The Jerk, where the phone book came in. The new phone books are here. No, it's the new Farmer's Almanac is here. And in fact, the wonderful and so traditional Old Farmer's Almanac is back, and Sarah is here to talk with us about it. Sarah, our conversation brought to you by Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm just lovely. And it's so much fun to take a step out of this crazy world in which we live and into the Almanac. I bet you a lot of people have that sentiment, don't they?
Yeah, it's very comforting to see that we've got a constant in this world. The Old Farmer's Almanac is back. You know, everything seems normal for a little bit.
just for a little. So how many years is this?
This is our 229th consecutive edition. So the first one came out in 1792 when George Washington was president.
Wow. And you've not been there for all of them, I assume.
About half that?
Every year the Almanac has our traditional favorites, but every year there's something new and many new features that we enjoy. And so we get a chance to do that again. First of all, Sarah, it's out now, right? It's available?
Yes, it should be in stores now. If you can't find it anywhere, you can always find it at almanac.com as well as amazon.com.
Mm-hmm. And for folks, I can't imagine there are many of them out there who don't know what the Farmer's Almanac is, but give us a thumbnail.
So your almanac is a calendar of the heavens to begin with. That's how it started. So you're going to have a calendar for the entire year. You're going to be able to look up into the sky and then look into your almanac and figure out what you're seeing. You're going to have your holidays, but you're also going to have charts and information about gardening. Obviously, you're going to have a weather forecast for the entire year, and then all that information plus recipes and great stories about what's going on in the world. We get some time-tested tips for flu and cold, which I think is very timely.
Yeah.
And just a guarantee of goodness for the entire year.
Yeah, and so many people say the first thing they want to know about the Almanac is what's it say for my area for this winter? That's
true. I had my in-laws over this weekend, and they asked me. And I thought, I should look it up. I don't know my own state, but I know everybody else's. So your area of the country, winter is going to be a little bit warmer than normal, but you'll have cold periods in mid and late December, and then quite a bit of January is going to be chilly. Snowfall is going to be below normal, but precipitation is going to be above normal. So it looks like it's going to be more wet than white.
Oh, that's kind of interesting and kind of scary, too, because we would rather have snow than sleet and ice and all of that stuff.
I agree. Snow is much better.
Yeah, but we don't really get a choice in that matter, so we take what's there, and the Almanac is going to tell us, isn't it?
Right, and you can get your forecast for the spring and the summer as well.
Yeah, it's amazing the amount of work that must go into this, and I'm thinking you have an army of people working on it. Just how many people put this thing together?
It's smaller than you would think. So our editorial staff, we have about 7. We have 2 people who work specifically on our website, almanac.com, and then the rest of us work on the book and our other products. But obviously, we've got a production department that puts the pages together. We've got our department that gets it into stores, but as far as putting the actual words together, it's a small department.
Wow, that surprises me. And it really points out the fact that you folks need to know a lot about a lot of different things.
I learn something new every day when I'm working on the Almanac. It's true.
All right, some of the favorites, of course, always have to do with gardening and getting out there into the yard and working the soil. That's been a long-standing tradition, hasn't it?
Absolutely. And this year we've got Small Space Gardening 101. And the best piece of advice I can give you, if you haven't, gardened or you're thinking about it, grow something that you and your family are going to eat. So if you grow 10 pounds of tomatoes, that's great. But if your family doesn't like tomatoes, then what are you going to do? So first, figure out, what's going to be useful to you. And then Gardening 101 is going to instruct you on do you have room in your yard? Do you need to use a container? What is your soil like? How can you fix it? Mm-hmm. Just all the basics to get your garden growing.
Mm-hmm. We hear all kinds of things and legends that are passed down from year to year and decade to decade, even generation to generation. And the Almanac always has covered that as well. Planting by the moon's phases is always a fascinating topic for me because I say I just, when the weather allows and the soil is ready, I'm going out planting. But tell me about planting by the phases of the moon.
Well, we can do it both ways in the Almanac. So, yes, we have our chart for planting by the moon's phase, but we also tell you how to plant by, your frost dates. So, whichever way you garden, we've got information for both. So, there's specific times of the year when we have an astrologer. I am no expert on this, but, the signs are in a certain place, so it's more fruitful to plant maybe above ground or below ground crops, whatever it is you're trying to grow. So, we've got a chart in the book which addresses all of that.
Fascinating stuff. It really is. There's a special report called Farming for Good, too. Tell me about that.
That is a special section this year. Every year we're trying to cover different farms in North America. We cover Canada, too, because we have a Canadian edition. So there's a different focus every year. And this year we wanted to talk to people who can share stories of inspiration and how they're making their dreams come true. So there's a Vermont goat farm that is now running completely on solar power. That's kind of new. Then there's a teacher who took 12 acres of really unworkable land and turned it into a working farm that's changing her community. Wow.
Now, time tested. I'm just taking you all around the book because I just that's what you do with the Almanac is you go all around the book and you can do it in one setting and decide, okay, I'm coming back to that one later, but what else is there? Because there's always exciting things. Time-tested tips for fighting colds and flus. I'm looking at that right now, and that's really a comprehensive section you have there.
It is. So it's got your how to avoid cold and flu, and then, unfortunately, if you get one of those, how to treat them. And a lot of it is common sense, You want to wash your hands. You want to get plenty of sleep. One thing that I hadn't really thought of before, but I should have, don't bite your fingernails. I mean, that's part of your hands, but you don't think about it. And then we've got the chart for how to tell if you have a cold or a flu, because a lot of times people, how am I going to treat this? I don't know exactly what I have. So it's just an overview of what you're going to do when you end up being sick this winter, which happens to a lot of us. Yeah,
it really does. And there's some interesting tips, too, on what you can do. For instance, there's a special section on spicing up your life and feeling better, particular spices that can help us to maybe get over a little quicker some of the ailments that we get.
Right. Turmeric and ginger are two very well-known because of their antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties, but you may not know that thyme is really good for you as well. So thyme is something you can easily add into anything you're making, like steak or chicken, or throw it into a salad.
Yeah. We're talking today with Sarah Perreault about the Old Farmer's Almanac, which is out again and available. And you can get it in any number of stores. I know the grocery stores have it. Can they get it online as well?
Absolutely. You can find it at almanac.com, or if you prefer Amazon, you can get it there as well. Just make sure you're searching for the Old Farmer's Almanac with the yellow cover.
There you go. Absolutely. Now, always the Almanac has interesting and humorous articles. They do puzzlers, and I'm looking at that right now, and they're so much fun, aren't they?
They are, and it's really fun to work on them when we're putting them together and puzzle ourselves and have to be able to solve the puzzles and make sure they make sense to us so they'll make sense to everybody else.
Just Sarah, half an orchard is better than none. How can a farmer plant 10 apple trees in 5 rows with 4 trees in each row?
You need a diagram.
I wasn't going
to
ask you.
That one I remember. I needed the diagram for that one.
Did you really? Did you have to work it out?
Yes, because I'm like, I don't know.
Well, how am I
going to figure this out?
Brings up the idea of sources. This isn't stuff that you're getting right off the top of your head. I imagine people are sending you things all the time, aren't they?
They are, and actually those maddening mind manglers were sent to us some of them were sent to us by a fellow in Tennessee because, we welcome people sending contributions to us. Some of them we look into our archives. We have 229 years to look back.
Oh, yeah.
Some of those are things that we may have heard somewhere and we include. So, information comes from everywhere.
Do you ever dust off an old edition and say to yourself, I'm just going to spend some time reading about 1922?
I do, because the archive materials are kept right outside my office, so I don't have to go very far.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
Oh, man, you have a great job.
I really do. I love my job, and I actually have to commute quite a ways. Not right now. I'm working from home like a lot of other people, but I have about a 70-minute commute normally, and people say to me, I can't believe you do that. And I say, but I love my job.
Yeah.
It's so interesting.
All right. Well, a lot of you folks at the Almanac spend a lot of time looking up at the sky. And there are things up there that you're looking for. There's astronomy. There's also astrology.
That's right. And they're two different things we have to remember. So we've got both of those things in the Almanac. If you want to know, you're outside one day and you see a really bright star and you look and you go, oh, that's not a star. That's Venus I'm looking at. And you can find that in the Almanac. And then astrology is a little bit different. It's more the placement of things in the sky. So we've got a best days to do things chart, whether it's cut your hair or make sauerkraut or set posts. That's all right in there.
Yeah, it really is. Recipes, have you tried them all?
Well, I did try the recipe contest winners because every year we do test our recipe contest winners so that we know who to give first, second, and third prize to. Mm-hmm. Those winners this year were, it was buffalo stuffed eggs, which was basically like having buffalo chicken stuffed into a deviled egg, so that was fantastic. But my favorite one, which won second prize, was stuffed jalapenos. I love spicy.
Evidently.
They were great.
I'm looking at that stuffed jalapenos recipe right now, and they're spicy Mexican shrimp bites, zippy potato balls. Spicy has really become one of the great trends, hasn't it, in eating?
Right, and as we know, it's good for your health, for especially this time of year when we're heading into the cold and flu season. Mm-hmm. Spices are great for you.
It is the Old Farmer's Almanac. She is Sarah Perreault, kind enough to spend some time with us, and they're actually going to send us some issues that we can give away to our listeners here on Indiana in the Morning. Sarah, thank you so much for spending this time with us today.
Thank you for having me. It was my pleasure.
And once again, tell folks that website, so if they want to get the book themselves.
You can go to almanac.com. You'll find it there. And if you would rather, you can go to amazon.com, just as long as you look for the Old Farmer's Almanac with the yellow cover.
Beautiful. Have a wonderful day today. Look up at the stars. Look up at the stars.